Good morning and welcome to the Art of Learning Self-Love. I'm Darla Williams and I am here today. I want to talk about love and respect. So the first part today is about because this is day 3 of the Art of Learning Self-Love. What I'm doing right now is doing a pre-recording of each and every day from the Art of Learning Self-Love, and this is day 3. Day 3 of this is about learning how to love and respect ourselves. So, the affirmation of the day. So, if you have a notebook, please grab it and write it down. If not, that's okay. You can listen to the recording later because I'll put it on the YouTube. And if you can, like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Affirmation of today is I love and respect myself for who I am. And what I want you to do is write that 5 times. But on one of those 5 times, I want you to write it on a piece of paper that you can stick near a mirror. May it be in the bathroom, in a living room, if it's near the mirror in your car, no matter where you're at or where you're going, somewhere where you can see it regularly. You want to just grab it, put it on a little Post-it. I love and respect myself for who I am. I love and respect myself for who I am. And I'm going to go ahead and do it the 5 times. So that was twice. I love and respect myself for who I am. I love and respect myself for who I am. I love and respect myself for who I am. When you hear that, I want to know what you guys think. What's the first thing you think if you say that to yourself? I want you to go ahead. Kathy, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to have you unmute, and I want you to actually say the sentence, I love and respect myself for who I am. And what comes up?
I love and respect myself for who I am. For me, it's the opposite that comes up because I haven't always loved and respected myself. And that's when you think about the ways in which you haven't loved and respected yourself, I always thought, why? When you recognize it, it's like, why? Why do you do those things, Why'd you think those things? Why'd you say those things? And it makes me sad, because I think, how could I, how could anybody do something to me that they wouldn't want done to themselves? But how could I do it to myself? How could I do it to myself? And how could I allow that? And then you think about who you would be or what you would have been if none of that had ever happened. And who are you supposed to be? Who are you always meant to be?
It really took you and expands you.
Right.
It really does. It makes you acknowledge yourself and how you have an internal dialogue. That internal dialogue can really tear us all apart. How many people, with a show of hands, can actually say they struggle with the internal dialogue that is so harsh and brutal to ourselves? We've all been there. So, Kathy, you're not alone.
Oh, I
It's
know.
the first thing I want to show you. You're not alone in that. We've all struggled it to retrain ourselves. And that's what you're in the process of doing, is retraining the way your mind processes. When you start the Art of Learning Self-Love, you're beginning a journey of redeveloping the skills, redeveloping unprogramming yourself and reprogramming yourself is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
You're literally tearing out an old structure, bringing it back down to ground zero, and then building what you actually need. And I do that in the course of 90 days with you. Kathy knows because she's taken the whole course. Annette, she's done it, Joe. So I've had quite a few different people. I think Joe's on 83 today, day 83 of the 90 days. So each person has had their different walks and dealt with different things throughout working on the art of learning self-love. I can honestly state that when I heard what you said, Kathy, about the fact that you really, when you first heard that, you realized you had not always honored and respected and loved yourself. And every single person in the face of the planet has done exactly the same thing. It's not generally taught to love yourself first. But once you learn that you love yourself first, that everything else comes together for you, it literally changes and shifts the dynamics of life all around in general. So when you state, I love and respect myself as I am, you have to accept yourself right where you're at. It's not about looking to the past. It's not about looking to the future. It's about accepting who you are this very second. And that at this very second, you have a right to give yourself permission to move forward. So I'm going to move to Annette real quick. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to say the affirmation and tell me the first thing that comes up. Hold on, we're going to unmute you. Go ahead and try and click and unmute yourself. Is it working? There you go.
There we go. Okay. It did it and then it undid it. And yes, anyway. Me and technology.
God, I hit the button.
Okay. Let's see. I love and respect myself for who I am. And what comes to my mind is the long journey to get there that I've gone through to be able to just accept myself and be in the moment and now, and be able to hold my head and just know I am perfectly imperfect and that's okay. It was a long journey to get there and a lot of reminders to myself. Like the big one for me was the constant apologizing for everything, whether it was my fault or not. And it took me a long time to break that habit because it had been so ingrained in me from the time I was a child to apologize for everything. And it took a long time, but now, like, I apologize if something is actually I messed up and oops, but I don't apologize for everything anymore. And it taught me to really go, wait a minute, this is a boundary showing that you love and respect yourself. You're not taking on everybody else's oops. And it's just reminding me of the journey, the slow, wonderful process to get there.
Well, one of the nice things about Noble Bowman I can tell you about in this platform, everyone here has their hero's journey. It's the hero's journey. What is your story? What have you overcome? What have you been there to be able to share with others? What is it within you that you've already endured and experienced that you have the knowledge and the wisdom to give to others? The reason we go through what we go through is so that we can be empowered to become somebody more, to assist other people in life. So even though we go through our hardships, it allows us and empowers us to become everything we're intended to become. So it's that process of learning to love even those hard points in our life, learning to let go of the resistance, learning to let go of the feelings and the emotions behind that keep us, forgiveness is an important tool. People go, oh, well, I'm not willing to forgive that person. And they create a bitterness within their heart. And then before you know it, someone has heart conditions or
It just
cancer.
eats you up.
And everybody wonders why they
Eats
have
you up.
these health issues. It's due to the fact of unresolved issues lying dormant in our bodies. How do we get rid of it? We let go. If I had, I'll use this here. I'm going to use my bracelet as an example. So if I'm sitting with my bracelet and I'm imagining that every single hateful, hurtful word that I've heard in my life continued to wrap around me. As I'm sitting with that, I'm holding on to every single one of those words. And that's actually becoming very uncomfortable. As you can tell, my fingertips are even turning a little blue because it's uncomfortable. But I'm uncomfortable because I'm choosing to hang on. I'm choosing to hold that. That's exactly what other people's words are doing to us when we choose to hold it. The minute we let them go, we literally cause ourselves relief. It has nothing to do with them. They can keep their words. They can have that. It's theirs. It no longer affects us. Forgiveness allows us to respect ourselves enough to let go of those things that other people have chosen to dump onto us. We don't have to keep that. Just because somebody else thought it doesn't mean it's true. So search yourself. If we're whole and complete from the foundations of creation, from the beginning, if that's where we were all created, and we were all created exactly the same, to be in wholeness and completeness, then just as you are, right here, right now, is exactly who you were intended to be. So no amount of whatever ever anybody else says, no matter what anybody else does, is not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. Do you own it? If that's your truth, then own it. If it's not, let it go. Because you're worth it. You're worth letting those things go. So I also want to ask Joe, and then I'm going to come to you, Wendy.
I love and respect myself for who I am. For me, I'm kind of like Catherine. I laughed a little inside because I've had more times than not where I did not have love or respect for myself, or struggled with even comprehending it at times. So when I say it out loud, I do. I get that laugh. I get that giggle because that was something that was so consistent for so long. But I also get like uh like that second wave crashing, that second realization of knowing that I'm no longer that, and I have become something that I can love and respect. And the growth that I can look back upon and see where I come from is really, it's just amazing just to know that at one point I had none for myself in a matter of uh gosh, I don't even know if it's been a full like 2 years since I've done my spiritual growth. I know I've worked with you in the art of learning self-love for a little bit. I know it's the timeline's all jacked up because it breaks and all that. But looking back and seeing how much growth I've had from my journey of not wanting to be that anymore, and growing and finding amazing mentors like you to help me find that deeper meaning of love for myself and how much more I enjoy being in that place than laughing at the ha, this bitch is crazy. I don't have love and respect for myself. No, I'm glad I'm no longer in that space. I'm glad I no longer have those feels towards myself. I'm proud of the growth that I've had and the ability to truly know that I've put the time in, I've put the work in, I've dug deep, and I'm continuing to dig deeper into that love and that respect for myself, and seeing like the opportunities that have come from it, the growth that has come from it. Not only the respect I have for myself now, but what I'm receiving from others as well. It's just life all around has been improving since finding that love and respect for self, and it's been uh amazing realizations to know that it all started with that one little step of I don't want to be that no more. Sorry if I pointed to someone on the video.
No, you pointed off the screen, but I want for you to take a second, Joe and Catherine. I want both of you because you both are in that same headspace right now. You're both coming through it and realizing, okay, I can do this now. But you're both still mirroring back to where you come from. You're both still looking backwards. So, in your journey, most of us do look in the rearview mirror. We're comparing ourselves to our past. Each day we're growing and developing. So I want you both to take a moment right now. How far away from where you once were when you couldn't stand yourself to where you are today? How far is that for you now?
It's like Joe said, I feel like I'm went to the whole other side of the spectrum, because when you come into that love and that wholeness, like there's no polarity, there's no duality, because you're in love, you're in wholeness, like you just recognize that everything that's coming is already, you know, what you've created and what you've asked to experience. And so you don't find yourself in resistance to it. You find yourself more in love with what you're going to gain from the knowledge of the experience of this person or this event, or whatever's going on in your life. And that way you're able to stay focused on the future, right? Because what is the highest version of you? Like, it's already done. You're already that, it's just this full circle coming back. And then you wonder why you ever felt that way, and I think you kind of realize that you never did feel that way, right? I always loved myself. The only reason I didn't love myself is because I was internalizing everybody else's judgment of that, essentially of themselves, right? Like, there was never anything wrong with me. There's never.
That's the key right there. You realize something right there, Kathy. That moment was your clarity. You just walked into it.
Well, I mean,
You always loved yourself. You just internalized the things, the events, and the circumstances. You allowed, so if we're a boat and we're going down the channel in the water, that water waves are going to be coming up and around the sides of the boat, right? But if we have a good hull of that boat, there's no water coming in. But if we have damage along the sides of the stern of that boat, what's going to happen? The waters are going to leak in. So as we're developing, we're growing, we're rising up in our life, we have circumstances that keep chipping away at who we are. There's literally moments where those words cut so deep that we got stuck. The first time someone looked at us when we were little and called us a name. The first time our parents disappointed us because they didn't show up the way they promised to show up. The first time that our hearts were broken because we decided to give it to another. And we weren't even ready to really give it away. We just thought that that's what we were supposed to be doing. We created situations not realizing that each step that we took or each thing that someone else did, we owned it. We consumed it. We believed it. And we changed the perspective within our mind. So as we were growing and developing, we started to lose the love and respect for ourselves. We separate ourselves from it. It's always there. It's available. I could write all of these words on pieces of paper and scatter them throughout the home. And everybody that walks past can pick them up or leave them right where they lay. What do you choose to pick up every day? Do you choose to pick up those hurtful things that everyone else did? Or do you choose to tune in to the truth of who you really are? And that is love. That is respect. Because what are you truly giving each and every day to everyone around you? You're giving all of yourself, and you're giving it in a way of love. Whether or not someone else receives it that way is not your fault. It's whatever that they're dealing with at that moment. And those moments can sometimes flow out and create problems around us. Just like when two boats are in the water at the same time and they cross waves, you cause everything to rock. And that's what happens. So sometimes, even out of love, it can cause things to get rocky. So it's navigating it, it's learning how to actually see it in its moments. It's learning how to accept that who I am right now is absolutely perfect at this very moment. I'm not out there, I'm not doing anything that's harming others. I'm not out there doing anything to harm myself. I'm literally speaking life into others, which is speaking life into me. What I give is what I receive. When we start learning that, when we give the love and respect to ourselves, we automatically give that to others because we're doing it for us. And if I need it, so do you. So it's tuning in to what we need. If we need love, then we will receive love, but only when we give it. We need respect. We'll receive respect, but only if we give it. How to receive? Give. How to give? Receive. It's a two-way street. So, Joe, I want to come back to you real quick in regards to where you are now. You said when you read it to you out loud, it made you laugh, it made you chuckle. Are you chuckling at the fact that you finally love yourself? Or are you chuckling at the fact that, oh, I used to hate myself?
Almost a little of both.
Like,
Like knowing the past, knowing where I have come from, it's quick or it's easy to fall back to those low-lying vibrations, and apparently my brain isn't caught up to my heart yet. So when I heard it, my first thought was ha, and I was like, wait a second, I'm not there. Like not that's not me anymore. Like, shred that file, throw it the F out. It's not valid no more. So, as we grow, like you say, it's what we choose to hold on to. And that's obviously something that I, didn't realize was still in the memory bank. So it's one of those things where it's, time to release, let go. It's not relevant no more. It's not that I'm going to forget where I came from or the things that I've gone through, but knowing that I don't hold those spaces anymore. I don't live those spaces. It's just something that happened. It was a moment in time. It's not this moment. It's not the now. And like Catherine talked about the future. I mean, yeah, it's great to plan for the future and to have, those amazing visualizations of where we want to be and all that. But the moment's now. Yeah, see right there. The moment's now. You live in the moment. You don't allow yourself to get worked up. Because for myself personally, I've dealt with the depression. I've dealt with the anxiety. So living with both of them at the same time is a freaking controlled chaos is kind of what it is. But if I try and visualize too much of the future, make too big of plans, I don't know if you can make too big of plans, but too big of a deal on the plans, I'll start having that anxiety, and then I take myself out of the now. I take myself out of this moment, so I'm no longer enjoying sitting here on this call. I'm worried about, oh my God, how am I going to make this happen? What do I got to do? Who do I got to find? Whatever million things, a million millisecond are going to run through my mind over that thought. So for me to avoid that anxiety, I just set the idea out there. I would love to have this. And it's not that I don't revisit it. I just don't focus on it. I throw it out there. Hey, this would be great, and then come back to the now, come back to this moment. What do I got to do now in this moment to achieve that future? Obviously, if I'm going to choose lower lying vibrational outcomes, I'm not going to reach my goal as quickly. But if I, work from the heart, work from love, take the time to sit and think about how I want to proceed or what do I need to proceed, the answer will come. It always comes. You just got to be open to receiving. Like you said, to give is to receive is to give. And that's full out truth. It's so easy. It's difficult to figure out. And that was one of my struggle points, because I do have the logical mind where if it's not written clear as can be, it doesn't make sense to me. And so juggling that duality of it not being clear but having faith to know that it will happen, it was a process to work through. But that, going back to that living in the now, was what really truly helped me be okay with it, knowing that this is what I want, where I want to be, how I want it, and all of that, but not focusing on all of it 24/7, and just coming back to the now, enjoying this beautiful, sunshiny day, going to the beach, doing a walk, doing whatever, but being in the moment.
Perfect. Now I want you to say it again. I want you to say the affirmation. But I want you to look at yourself in the camera and look at you, not everyone else, just you.
Okay. Gotta read it down here real quick. I love and respect myself for who I am.
Now, how does that feel?
The second half of the first reaction. I didn't revert to that low-lying vibration. I didn't revert to the old memories of where I have come from. I basically stayed in this moment, in this now. I didn't look at my past or where I've come from. I just focused on where am I at today.
And that's the key, is training yourself to look at right now, not everything that's already happened, not what could arise, but where you are right here, right now. Because when we tune into this very moment, generally, it's really not that bad. It's what we're constantly replaying. It's what we've heard from others. It's what we've experienced that sits there and nags at us and sits there and repeats and gets in this cycle within ourselves, and we keep spiraling out due to it. It's when we finally hone in and take responsibility of ourselves and go, okay, no, 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 no. I actually remember all the steps that I took to tune into who I am right this minute. That literally, no matter what you experience, good, bad, or indifferent, you can actually hone into that moment and go, how do I want to respond? I don't want to react. I don't want to be explosive. I don't want to be like a shooken up soda bottle that it's exploding as soon as I pop the top. I literally want to be able to show up and be me, the best me that I can be. And I have that privilege and that right, but I have to train myself to do it. I cannot. And am I going to fall short? Yes, because we all fall short. We're human, we're flesh and blood, and we have moments that we cannot actually tune in because so much stuff goes on around us. So we got to learn how to be gentle with ourselves and love ourselves through our process. The process is really the key. It's not about the end result. It's not about the goal. I can set 1,000 goals up here on the top of this line and decide I can do all of them. But am I going to show up each day? Am I going to do what's required? Am I willing to keep going even when it gets boring? Am I constantly tuning into the end and why I'm doing it? Or I'm making up excuses each day to stop myself from getting there. It's all us. We're unlimited. We can do anything that we set ourselves out to do. But how are we showing up for us? How many can honestly say, because I've been guilty of it, I went and gave all of me to everyone else 1,000 times over. Did I give me all of me so that I could show up for myself each and every day? And when I do that, I watch so many amazing things happen and so many interconnections that I make that actually take me leaps and bounds. It's like literally jumping timelines in my life when I do it right. But when I get in myself and I get into my excuses and I get into my circumstance and I get into my memories, I can jack myself all up and be like, oh, I ain't gonna make it in a holy instant. I can be in one place or the other. And we all can. So I'm going to jump over here to Wendy because I know that she's going to shine some real light on this one. I want you to go ahead and say the affirmation first
I
and
love,
talk about the first thing that comes up.
I love and respect myself for who I am. And that is actually where I am. It actually took me this whole time to actually find anything in the past. And I had to write them down because there's such like faded memories of why I didn't before. And how I had to get to a point where I found it important to go on a journey to love and respect myself for who I am. And I realized I was always a light. And I shined so brightly that the fear others had required them to try to douse me. And I allowed it because I felt their disapproval so strongly, and I wanted to belong because it was parents and friends and people I wanted around me. And I didn't have a choice when I was little to find outlets for who I was. And by the time I did get old enough to do that, I was already kind of shaken up. And I'm like, but that was my journey. And thank God I went through that because it gave me a foundation to know that I was always fine. And now I can love and respect myself for who I am and love others and respect them for who they are and be that light that it makes it easy for them to be around me and maybe changes their decisions that they may have otherwise felt. Because if it's okay for me, I can be contagious and it can be okay for them.
So are you saying that loving yourself first gave them permission to love themselves too?
I don't know if it was so much permission or if it was just like it turned on a light. and it became apparent. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I didn't give them anything. I just kind of brightened the room a little bit so they could see themselves a little better and go, oh yeah, me too. You know, my new me too moment. Instead of me too being abused, me too, I can love myself and have my own respect for who I am. That's my me too movement.
Perfect. Perfect.
So
I love
I'm
the fact that you're sharing this, that you're a light.
all these things I wrote down that I was trying to figure out why I didn't, I just crossed it off. It doesn't mean anything. That's just old stuff that doesn't even relevant to me anymore.
But what was it? So that you can actually affirm it. I
Well,
want you to put it in the context of this is how I felt, and I no longer feel this way.
okay. Well, okay, I'll tell you what I think was the turning moment of my axis from being a young, okay with who I was. My grandmother once mistakenly said to me, not knowing the impact it would have on me, no one is indispensable. And at the time, I was pretty indispensable to myself. And I took it that I wasn't important, that I shouldn't be self-important. That, and so I spent a lot of time trying to be indispensable. So that was the momentum. And then soon I used to say, I am my own worst enemy, which at the time was relatively true. But no longer is true, and really wasn't true there, because really I was just keeping myself safe from the inflow. So I put up these barriers that were unreasonable for me to even meet. Da, da, da. And like I said, I feel other people's disapproval even now. I feel it, but then I just realized I turned it around to their call for love. They're afraid. They're feeling fear for themselves because I'm shaking them up a little bit because they don't know they can feel this. And that's their disapproval. They're like afraid of the light because they've been trained that way. And now I can just be understanding and just allow that. Be like, okay, you can be there because that's where you need to be right now. And that's why I actually wrote it 5 times. And I love that. And actually going to put this on my mirror. It's going to be one of my things I put on my mirror because you told me that's, you know, like I was actually talking to it about my daughter. And I just got to find a mirror I'm not sharing with everyone because I have a small house. So I have this one that I'm actually going to, it's got a blue frame about it. I'm going to hang it up. And that's where I'm going to put all my little affirmations.
That's perfect. I'm going to tell you that is really going to help move you because you're going to be able to see yourself. And
Yes.
then eventually, what happens is you actually begin to see a light shining inside of you. The more you affirm it,
Mhm.
when you actually shift from the, I'm trying, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm doing the actions.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep doing it. Everyone says it works. I don't know when it's going to work. It's not working yet, but you can sit there. You can actually see the moment. If you do it in the mirror work like that, where you're actually saying it in front of the mirror, you literally will catch the moment when your lights turn on.
Yeah.
When
And
you activate yourself in belief, you'll actually see your eyes light up. You'll see a light that goes on inside, and you'll be like, oh, and it's the moment that that fire within you begins to burn. When you begin following your passion, when we turn within, love does not begin without outside of us. Love begins within us. If I incubate love and hold love within me, the same as Joe's had a child and he didn't carry the child, but he's had a child, so he knows having and developing a child in someone's womb comes with a lot of challenges. It's a lot of growth. It's a lot of different things that you're going through. You know, Yeah, sometimes it does feel like that. But as you're going through it, if I take and I hold love the same way that I would hold a child within my womb, eventually there's life. So every time I take in these words in my affirmations, I'm bringing those words inside of me and I'm depositing little seeds. I'm depositing the seeds that builds my confidence. And over a course of time, eventually each one of those starts to sprout and grow. Some of them don't mean anything to us. Some of them just fade away. While others, for me, the first time I ever heard myself say, I radiate self-confidence. When I said that, I'm going to tell you, I did not light up. I looked at the mirror and was like, sure, sure I do. And I was miserable. I was miserable. I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way people treated me. I had so much hate inside of me because others had made me hate myself. Others didn't really do it though. They did things that made me think certain ways, but I chose to own those things. And when it finally shifted for me, when I stood there and repeated, I radiate self-confidence. I radiate that. So it wasn't so much about the radiation of the confidence. It was radiating the self. Who was I? What was I? What was I about? How was I this horrible person that everyone kept telling me I was when all I was doing was caring? All I was doing was showing up. All I was doing was the same things every single day. I was just doing it in the wrong space. And I did it over and over and over to myself until I finally sat with it and went, this isn't them. This is me. I'm the one showing up. They're just continuing their same behaviors. And I'm accepting this over and over again. And when I realized that, I realized, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. And when I finally realized that, my whole world came together and it was like everything I had journaled and written and wanted and desired landed in my lap. It came with that affirmation. I radiate self-confidence. That was that eye-opening moment in the mirror when I stood there and said it and went from going, yeah, right, to, yeah, I really do. I see it finally. I see the light in me. And if I can see it, so can others. And it shifted the dynamics within myself where I could actually start showing up. Go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, two things. One, I think Kasha is having her Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to jump into that one.
Go ahead.
But I just wanted to say something. I had a conversation. Sometimes these thoughts come to me, and I don't know why I felt I had to say this to my daughter yesterday. And I said, one of my daughters once said, as I was going through my journey, and I was quite positive, because of course you go on overdrive on positivity because you think you need to do that. And she said, oh, there's positive toxicity or something like that to me. And then yesterday I realized, no, there's only toxic toxicity. It comes in a lot of forms, but it's always that way. And I said, but you don't have to drink from that cup.
Exactly. You don't have to drink from that cup. Before you jump off real quick, I do want to give you the assignment of the day.
Okay.
The assignment of the day is write out how you can begin loving yourself more. What do you know you can do daily to show yourself more love and respect? So that's your written assignment that you can do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a blessed
Good.
day. Blessings, love, and light. Thank you, Wendy, for showing up.
Love you guys.
So we are down to the end of the hour. Everyone has spoken. Quick question. Does anyone have any questions in regards to anything we talked about today?
But I wanted to add something. So I don't know if you remember Laura and Crystal's read on me yesterday, but they both had said that, I needed to trust. And because, I asked if there was, I don't know if you were there, Annette, but I'd asked if there was a message from my guides. And that was, came up was trust. And I really sat with that last night. And, just listening to this class today, it, really came to me on, what is trust? What does that word actually mean, and in that relationship to yourself. And I think, when you think about, I love and respect myself for who I am, and you think about the ways in which you didn't, or you weren't doing that, when you come into a place of wholeness, you start to realize, I just started realizing, like, it's that lack of trust, it's not trusting myself and not trusting in others that keeps that same cycle, swirling around. And I think that's just kind of a profound, to trust in.
Here's something I want to deposit into you today, if you're so willing to accept.
I am.
Watch how you interact. How do you show up?
Yeah.
If you're showing up, then be confident in knowing what's coming back.
Yeah.
How you deliver yourself will be
Yeah.
how you receive others. So if at first it doesn't work out that way, it means that you're just clearing up some energetic waves that have happened in the past.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward and know that it will come back to you. I used to tell everyone they were absolutely beautiful just the way they are. And I used to just randomly tell strangers that. One day I came out of a place completely disheveled. I knew I was a complete hot mess. And someone turned to me and said, Darla, do you know how absolutely beautiful you are inside and out? I knew I was a hot mess. I knew my hair was flopped down, doing its own craziness, that my bun had done fallen over. My clothes were dirty because I'd been scrubbing stuff. I knew I looked like a hot mess. But the words I'd given to others for so long finally came back and met me when I needed it the most. Those words hit me that day so hard because I realized that I had set enough in motion around me that it could finally reach around the world and come back to me. And it changed the way I actually thought about how I delivered things to others. Because I knew that I had given so many people when they were at their worst those words so that they could keep going. That it finally, when I was at mine, it met me. So remember, what you give out is what you'll receive. So give yourself permission to love yourself, respect yourself, and in turn, the world will love and respect you too, because you're going to do the same for them. That's where I'm going to close. Blessings, love, and light. Thank you for showing up. Bye for now.
Love you.
Love you.